you guys want to see something cool? Ta-da! Giant Dobby! He's awesome! Hey guys, long time no see. Partly, or actually no, totally because I got sucked into the K-drama hole and I didn't want out. I still don't want out, but I was like, it's summer break, why not just go ahead and film a video. After all, I did just finish reading Save the Date by Morgan Matson, and I have feelings on it. Not all positive, not all negative. I actually started reading that book after reading Listen to Your Heart by Casey West, and that is kind of a high bar to set, I personally feel like, because I read that one when I was in India a couple weeks ago and I was just swooning. Also, I audiobooked it because, like, the heat. It's less hot where I was in India than it is here right now, but it's very hot. We just had fans, so I was just laying there audiobooking Listen to Your Heart and swooning, and it was wonderful. So it's a decently high bar to come from that to Save the Date, especially because, as it turns out, Save the Date is not what I would call a YA contemporary romance, and I went into it thinking that it was a contemporary romance. Right when I started, I was like, what is this boring mess? That was unfortunate. Luckily, I have not DNF'd a book in a while, so I continued reading, and then by the end of it, I definitely liked it. But if we are rating this book on terms of contemporary romance-ness, it would be like 2 out of 5 stars. Luckily, that's not what we're rating it on. It turns out it's actually more of a big family love relationship kind of story, and I know that sounds boring. I personally, like, when I read reviews for it, when I was in the middle of reading it and kind of hating it, everyone was like, oh my gosh, I love big family stories. This is a big family story that'll touch your heart, and I'm like, ew. Terrible reaction. I love my big family. It's just like, I'm here for romance, dude. But then even if you go in for the romance, you're gonna love it, theoretically. I did. But yeah, I don't know. It was really good, minus the romance. If we're talking about the romance, there's literally like 3 conversations between the main dude and the main female, Charlie. What is the main dude's name? His name is Bill Barnes. It's a weird name right off the bat. He was a very boring character. He was a good character. I'm sure the relationship depicted within those 3 conversations they had throughout the entire book was realistic, because honestly most of the relationship happens off the page, and I don't mean off the page as in you read between the lines. No, I mean it happens after the book ends, which again is realistic. Romance is slow. Also, I guess a romance would be kind of unrealistic because the whole book takes place in like 2.5 days. But when do we look for realistic romances in novels? Very rarely. Do not go into this book if you're looking for a romance, but if you're in like a summery contemporary mood and you don't know what you're getting into, then yes, I would suggest Save the Date, because it actually turned out to be really good. You do have to stick through it for like the first 50-60%, and you do get into it by that 50-60%, but not like super into it, just like, okay, it's not terrible, I won't kill myself while reading this. Overall, I think it was a really good book. It's actually this really cool thing. The relationship, the family dynamic is crazy. You don't really end up loving anybody in the family, and yes, the main character is kind of annoying, and yes, younger than her age would suggest, but I've read like 3 Morgan Matson books so far. This one does, surprisingly. I'm very surprised that I didn't end up hating it, because I started hating it. It turns out it's really good, and again, yes, Morgan Matson is still an auto-read author for me. She's still amazing, and I would definitely recommend this book. Just again, do not go into it expecting a YA contemporary romance, but also don't be like, ew, family stuff. It's good. I would recommend it. I mean, I liked Listen to Your Heart by Casey West more, but I would still recommend this.
Dream high.
I dream